Josh Rosen.
Josh Rosen.
Josh Rosen.
Josh Rosen.
Josh Rosen.
Josh Rosen was never just a quarterback. He was confident, he was outspoken, he was picked 10th overall. And 3 years later, he was out of the league. Not injured, not arrested, just forgotten. But what if I told you his story isn't about failure? It's about how the NFL treats anyone who doesn't fit their mold. In 2015, a talented teenager from California stepped into the spotlight. Josh Rosen, a standout from St. John Bosco High School, was one of the top players in the country. He stood 6'4", carried himself with the calm of someone much older, and threw the ball with such accuracy that scouts couldn't stop praising him. He wasn't just a 5-star recruit. He was ranked as the 11th best player in the entire country by 247 Sports. As a quarterback, he had the polished skills of someone who had been playing for years, and he carried himself with the kind of confidence that came from never once questioning where he was headed. Then came UCLA. The hometown star was staying in California, ready to help bring the Bruins back to national glory. What happened next started to build his legend. Over 3 seasons, Rosen's arm became one of the most talked about in college football. He threw for 9,340 yards and 59 touchdowns. Those are the kind of stats that spark Heisman hopes and NFL dreams. But the numbers were only part of the story. What really stood out were the moments, the unbelievable throws, the smart decisions before the snap, and the calmness under pressure. That's how he earned the nickname Chosen Rosen. No moment was more memorable than his fake spike against Texas A&M. His team was down by 34 points, and most quarterbacks and most teams would have given up. But not Rosen. He led one of the greatest comebacks in college football history and finished it with a clever fake spike and a touchdown that became his trademark play. In that game, in that moment, Josh Rosen showed all the things the NFL says it looks for: leadership, creativity, the ability to perform under pressure, and the skill to make everyone around him better. As draft season approached, the consensus was clear. Josh Rosen was the most NFL-ready quarterback in his class. Perfect mechanics. Football intelligence was off the charts. The prototype pocket passer who could step into a professional offense and command it immediately. He had the arm, the IQ, and the resume. But from the beginning, something was off. While scouts admired Rosen's impressive arm and skills, a different conversation was quietly happening inside NFL front offices. Some questioned if he was too opinionated. Others wondered if he truly loved football. They noticed he had interest beyond the game and thought he acted like he was the smartest person in the room. This was the start of a character attack. It wasn't about how well he threw the ball. It was about how he didn't fit the NFL's strict idea of what a quarterback should be. An anonymous NFL executive even said, "Everybody recognizes the talent with Rosen, but he is not the top guy in the draft because nobody likes him." Then draft night arrived. 3 quarterbacks were picked before him. Baker Mayfield went to Cleveland, Sam Darnold to the Jets, and Josh Allen to Buffalo. When the Arizona Cardinals finally chose Rosen with the 10th pick, he said the words that would stay with him for his whole career. Of course! Here's the version without the M-dash. The moment Josh Rosen said those words, everything changed. It wasn't because what he said was shocking, since quarterbacks are supposed to be confident after all. But it made people believe what many were already thinking, that he was arrogant, that he stood out too much, and that he didn't know when to just keep quiet. From that moment, Josh Rosen became something else, a target. The NFL decision makers who passed on him now had the motivation to be proven right. The media had their narrative. And a league that pretends to value confidence suddenly had a problem with a young man who believed in himself. What really stands out isn't that Josh Rosen was confident. Quarterbacks are supposed to be confident. The difference isn't how people reacted to it. When other quarterbacks said they wanted to be the best, they were called competitive. But when Rosen said the same thing, people said he was entitled. And that's how Josh Rosen's NFL journey began. Not just going up against tough defenses on the field, but also battling a reputation that had little to do with how he played the game. If you were trying to create the worst situation for a rookie quarterback, it would look just like the 2018 Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals had the worst offensive line in the league. Their top receiver was injured, their offensive scheme was outdated, and their head coach Steve Wilks would be fired after just one season. Josh Rosen was thrown into the middle of it all. He was the rookie quarterback many claimed was too smart for his good, forced to play behind a line that allowed pressure on nearly 40% of his dropbacks. The outcome was exactly what you'd expect. The team finished with a 3-13 record. Rosen threw 11 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. His completion rate was just 55.2%. Not because he was inaccurate, but because he was constantly under pressure, often forced to throw to tightly covered receivers just to avoid getting sacked. A former NFL quarterback even said he watched the tape and believed nobody could have succeeded under those circumstances. For most top 10 picks, that kind of season is a learning year, a base to build on. For Rosen, it turned into his only real chance. When the Arizona Cardinals hired college coach Cliff Kingsbury, they quickly decided to start fresh. It wasn't just about getting a new coach. They also moved on from their quarterback. Even though they had drafted Josh Rosen just a year earlier, the Cardinals used the #1 overall pick in the 2019 NFL Draft to select Kyler Murray. Suddenly, Rosen was no longer part of their future. The team traded him to the Miami Dolphins for much less than they had invested. They gave him up for a second round and a 5th round pick, even though he had been the 10th overall pick only a year before. In Miami, the same problems came back. The team had a weak offensive line. The coach was under pressure. And once again, the system didn't fit Rosen's style of play. He started 3 games, lost all of them, and was eventually replaced by veteran quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's when the real journey began. After Miami, the pattern became impossible to ignore. Another team, another shot, another quiet exit. It started in Tampa Bay. Rosen was signed to the Buccaneers practice squad and stayed just 2 months. Then came San Francisco, where he spent 5 months in the building but never took a live snap. It was all learning from the sidelines, waiting for a call that never came. Atlanta gave him a sliver of a window. He made the active roster, stepped on the field, and threw a few passes. But they came late in games, long after the outcome was decided. The only thing they added to the box score was a couple of interceptions. After that, he joined the Cleveland Browns, where he was back on the practice squad. He never played a single down. His final stop came with the Minnesota Vikings, also on the practice squad. And again, he never got a real chance. Over just 3 seasons, Rosen worked under 5 different offensive coordinators and wore 8 different jersey numbers. It was constant change with no stability, no time to grow, and no real support. By the age of 25, the quarterback once seen as the most NFL-ready prospect in his draft class was completely out of the league. As Josh Rosen's NFL career quietly faded into the background, the story around him became more rigid. He was no longer seen as the bright young quarterback out of UCLA. Instead, people began to talk about him as a cautionary tale, a draft bust. Just another name added to the long list of players who never lived up to expectations. Pundits on sports radio called him one of the biggest quarterback disappointments of the decade. Analysts on TV said he simply couldn't cut it in the NFL. Even fans joined in, joking that the real mistake on draft night was picking him in the first place. But in all the criticism, something important was lost: context. Being an NFL quarterback is never just about talent. It's also about the team around you, the system you're placed in, and the support you get. And in all those areas, Rosen fell short, not because of who he was, but because of what was around him. What's most telling about Rosen's NFL tenure isn't what happened, but what didn't happen. He was never accused of being a bad teammate. He never had off-field incidents. He was never called lazy or unprepared. He was never even seriously injured. He just disappeared. As time went on, the quarterbacks from the 2018 draft started to find their place. Some succeeded, others struggled, but most got another shot. Baker Mayfield bounced back after leaving Cleveland and found success in Tampa Bay. Sam Darnold got a fresh start with the Vikings. Josh Allen became a star in Buffalo. Lamar Jackson went on to win multiple MVP awards in Baltimore. But Josh Rosen? He never got that 3rd chance. Not even a 4th or 5th. His window closed before it ever really opened. What happened next was surprising. Instead of giving angry interviews or blaming others, Josh Rosen quietly moved on. He went back to UCLA and finished his degree, graduating with honors. After that, He enrolled at the Wharton School of Business, one of the top business schools in the country. Interestingly, it was founded by his maternal great-great-great-grandfather. Here, Josh Rosen didn't burn out. He was never really given the space to ignite. This wasn't just about one player. This is how the NFL treats quarterbacks who don't play the PR game, who challenge the system, who think too much. The NFL says it values leadership, intelligence, and confidence. But in reality, it often wants quarterbacks who follow the rules, say the right things, and focus only on football. No questions, no challenges. When Josh Rosen joined the league, many saw him as a problem before he even played a game. His intelligence wasn't seen as a strength, but something to be wary of. His confidence wasn't welcomed. It was criticized. And when he spoke his mind, instead of being respected, he was told to stay quiet. The truth is, we may never know what Josh Rosen could have become. At UCLA, he showed glimpses of real potential. Strong arm, sharp accuracy, and calm leadership under pressure. But once he entered the NFL, he was never given the support and stability that young quarterbacks need to grow. Look at the success stories from his draft class. Josh Allen struggled in his first 2 years, but had organizational stability and patience. Lamar Jackson had a system built specifically around his unique talents. Baker Mayfield only found success after escaping a dysfunctional organization. Sam Darnold needed years and multiple teams to find the right situation. None of them were perfect prospects. All of them needed time, development, and the right environment. Only Rosen was expected to succeed immediately in chaos, then discarded when he did. Today, Josh Rosen is building a different future at Wharton, using the same intelligence and work ethic in business that he once brought to football. Meanwhile, NFL teams continue their endless search for quarterback talent, often overlooking the human qualities that truly shape success. To some, Josh Rosen is a bust. But to others, he's a reminder of what can go wrong when the league prioritizes image over genuine development.